Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger here at dansfish.com, and we do this live stream every other week at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern for those who might be a little bit mountain challenged. So thanks for coming by this Wednesday to join in. Cheers. All right, today we're going to give our shipping report like we do every live stream. Then we're going to talk about our giveaway, and I'm going to tell you about some cool fish that we have available that we just listed for sale. Some stuff that people have been waiting on for a long time, some of it. So let's start, here it is, with the shipping report. So what this is, for those that might be new, is I report every time I live stream about our success rate shipping fish to our customers. Do they arrive alive? Do they arrive fat and sassy? Do they arrive healthy? Do they arrive, as Stephen P. 2003 Aquatic says, fish with a will to live? Do they arrive with a will to live? So we keep track of all the reported problems our customers give us, and then the number that I report to you is our percentage of success over the last year, the last 12 months rolling, right? So as of today, for the last 12 months, our success rate is 98.84%. That means 98.84% of the fish that we have sent to our customers have been reported to arrive in good health and alive. So that's why we go through all the hoops we go through here at Dan's Fish. The extra quarantine, the diagnostics lab we have in-house. We have 2 full-time biologists that all they do is keep track of fish health all day long in that lab. And quarantine everything for at least 2 weeks. The way we source our fish is different. And all that leads up to that. 98.84% of the fish we've sent, the customers have not reported problems with. So that's why we do all that work. So if the team is watching, if you're a team member here at Dan's Fish and you're watching this, just a big thank you for all your effort. That's the end result there. So thanks to the team, and thanks for all the customers for buying from us. So that's the shipping report. Our goal is 99%. We're 1.16%. 0.16% away from that. So, so close. It's that elusive 99. We've hit it a couple times. We've touched glory a couple times, but sustaining 99 is really hard. We've never dropped below 98% though. So I like to say our fish arrive alive and healthy about 99% of the time. I think that's fair. Why are people putting #ricefish in the chat? Is that are these Corey's people? Did a bunch of people just come over from the co-op? Hello, people from the co-op. Welcome, welcome. I was setting up the stream and listing new inventory like mad right before this went live. I haven't even gotten home to eat yet. It's been one of those days. And so, so I'm not sure what that means, but when I watched the replay of Corey's stream that he did tonight, then I'll know. We do have some amazing rice fish. Yeah, we have some really nice ones, so maybe that's what that's about. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming over. What's that put us up to? Holy cow, 253 people this early in the stream. Well, let's go ahead and do the giveaway now, then. We do a giveaway every live stream. Sometimes we usually kind of do it towards the end of the stream, but every now and then I like to do it early just to reward folks that come early, that don't just show up at the very last minute hoping to win something, you know? So let's go ahead and do it. So the fish we're going to give away today is a tried and true favorite. This is the Glowlight Tetra, Hemigrammus erythrozona. And it's been it's been a long loved fish in the hobby forever. So I have some notes about it that are kind of interesting. It was first described in 1909 and it entered the aquarium hobby in 1933. So this thing has been in the hobby longer than the neon tetra. It's kind of like the original neon tetra. And back when neon tetras were super expensive, it was called the poor man's neon tetra, as was the white cloud mountain minnow, believe it or not. Because the white cloud mountain minnow has kind of that iridescent stripe. So they called that one the poor man's neon tetra as well. Any fish that had a glowing stripe across it like these do, that was cheaper than a neon tetra at the time, was called the poor man's neon tetra. Now there weren't that many because this was early in the hobby, but white clouds were in and this fish was in. These guys come from Guyana and they are a perfect community aquarium fish. They don't get too big, maybe about 1.5 inches. Maybe there's like a big old grandpa Glowlight Tetra out there that's 2 inches or something like that in a really big tank that's been there for like forever. That maybe could happen, but 1.5 inches is a safe bet. And what I like about them is when they're kept in a decent sized group, these eyes glow and so does this stripe right here. And so you get this really pretty, it's almost like a pack of zebras, a herd of zebras, but it's these bright red horizontal lines instead of these kind of vertical black and white lines. Bright red, they group up and go around the aquarium together. So not only do they like to be kept in groups because, you know, they're a tetra, they feel more safe in numbers, but they look amazing in a big group because you'll just see this glowing line of red lights going across orange to red. It depends on your lighting, and so it's really pretty. They're not very expensive. This might be the cheapest fish we sell. I think they're like $4.99, which for us is dirt cheap. Super hardy, easy to breed, easy to raise, as evidenced by the fact that just bajillions of them are bred on fish farms every year. Yeah, I think it's just about, I can't think of any flaw with them for like a community aquarium. So now I've never kept them with like fish with long flowing fins. I don't know if they would maybe nip the fins of like a fancy guppy with a really long wavy tail or something like that. That might be something they do. I haven't kept them with anything like that. So that might be the one thing to watch out for. Folks, if you've kept Glowlight Tetras, have you kept them with like bettas with long flowing tails or you know, fancy guppies with long tails? And did they nip or were they good citizens? I'm just curious. Let's ask the chat what their experience was. And while, hey, Jody P, welcome, lady. I've been wanting to contact you to see how your venture is going. I'm very, very curious, but I haven't had any moments to do that. But I hope it's going really well. If I can be of any help, let me know. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I'm asking a question here. Let's see if people have kept them with long. Okay, my glow lights at least leave my betta alone. They're very peaceful, says RD. Okay, it's kind of what I figured. But you know, I don't like to say things will be fine when I haven't tried it, because what if it won't be fine and then, you know, I lead you astray. So mine are chill with endlers and guppies. Mine do not bother my guppies. Okay, someone says only when they're hungry or bored. So maybe if you only have a few in a tank and you don't have a big enough group, that is when fish can misbehave. So I'm gonna change the screen and rant a little bit. So this is true of a lot of fish I found. So tiger barbs, for example, have a reputation for just being little jerks, right? They're fin nippers and all that stuff. But I've found if I keep them in big groups, there's plenty of interplay among themselves, and they're much, much less likely to nip fins. So I could see tetras being in the same boat, where if there's a big group of them, then they have critical mass, I guess I would say, and they're not bored. There's plenty of socialization among themselves, and they're probably less likely to nip and misbehave. I've noticed that in lots of fish species. I haven't tried it exactly with Glowlight Tetras, but I think the trend would be true there. I had a group of guppies now and no issues, says Steve B, although it's heavily planted. Okay. Zacks were peaceful. Yeah, okay. So that's the feedback, and that makes sense to me. It's about what I expected. All right, so this is what we're giving away, a group of these. If you want to win them, in the chat, enter this hashtag, hashtag GLOW, hashtag GLOW. No spaces, capitalization does not matter, hashtag GLOW. Just put that in the chat somewhere. Like, we'll do the glow dump instead of the rice fish dump. And then in a few minutes, we'll draw a winner and reward people that came at the beginning of the stream instead of instead of the people joining at the very end, just to win something. All right, while we're waiting for folks to type #glow in the chat, then we're going to talk about some interesting fish that we have here at Dan's Fish. And then after that, we'll get to questions and comments, and we'll just geek out about fish and have a nice discussion based on the chat. So here we go. All right. Going to start with some stuff that is kind of new since last time we talked. This is one that I've been hesitant to bring in, Geophagus sveni. These are from Rio Paraná. And the reason I'm hesitant to bring them in is I've been burned in the past where I brought in Geophagus. This also happened with Severums and other fish that grow decent size and are fairly similar when they're small. So I brought these in before from a different source, and I had a customer buy a group, and they grew them out for a year, 18 months, or whatever it was, a long time. And then they sent me a picture of them later, and they're like, hey, these aren't even the right species or whatever. And like, I don't know, I'm selling them at 1.5 inches, 2 inches, maybe. They at the time they didn't have any color pattern or anything. So I'm kind of reliant on my suppliers for the ID. And I didn't want to have that experience again where I sold something to someone and it turned out to not be the right fish a ton of time later after they spent all this time and effort to grow them out. What a horrible experience for a customer. And then no fun for me either when I have to deal with the aftermath, right? But I have a supplier that I've been dealing with for several years from now. They're not perfect. None of them are. My company isn't even perfect on IDs. Like, we just had to change the ID on a Hillstream loach recently because Jody P came over and looked at our Hillstream loaches, and she knows a lot more about them than I do. And there's some really rare ones. And she was like, oh, actually, that's not Fangai, that's Fasciatus. I mean, they look so similar. So, nobody's perfect, especially in every group of fish, especially when they come in small and they haven't colored up yet. But this breeder does a good job, this source, and so I did bring them in because I've got a lot of requests for them. So if you want the Geophagus sveni, here they are. I do have them available. Trust me, I've been listening all this time. I've just been hesitant to do it. But here's one that is so different looking from the other Geophagus that it's hard to mess up the ID. This is the Geophagus species from Altocino, also called the gold dust earth eater. A very different looking Geophagus. Reminds me kind of the red hump earth eater, the red hump Geophagus, Stendakinari, or whatever that species name is. But it's different, but it's similar in that it has kind of that angular face and that hump there. So that's one that we haven't had for probably over a year. But again, we had enough requests that we decided to go ahead and get some more in. This one, these are so interesting. I never knew this fish existed. Like, I've been doing this for 30 plus years, and I did not know there was a long-finned variety of the gold laser cory. But there is, and we brought a small group in just because I didn't think, it's an expensive fish, and I didn't think there'd really be a huge demand for them, but I wanted to try them, and we only have 3 left, so that's good. They sold pretty well. But it's basically a gold laser cory, but with these long fins. See this long fin, how it goes out here? You can see them here, long fins, especially the tail. Now with time, the other fins might get even bigger as well, but the tails are definitely longer than your average cory for sure. So that's a neat one that I had never seen before. So, maybe that's a first for you guys too. I like when I can show fish that's like, hey, look at this. Never seen that before. Couple other neat varieties that we got in that we haven't had in a long time. Really specialist kind of stuff. Or not specialist, just really expensive. Let's put it that way. Really expensive and really fancy. So we don't bring them in all the time. But we have some more albino kohaku high-fin swordtails. They're really gorgeous. I don't even really have to talk about them and how pretty they are because just the fish do it themselves. Really nice swordtail. And then the red wag cauliflowers. Now these do have the very overly pleated dorsal fins, that true cauliflower pleat. There, some some of them from other suppliers we tried, and they weren't as pleated. So I'm not sure if they were actually, I don't know where the line is between Vienna and cauliflower in all instances. Sometimes they look so similar, but these are definitely the cauliflower ones. So a couple really specialized swordtails. We have a neat molly we brought in for the first time too, another very expensive fancy one that I just got a notice from the lab today that it is ready to come out of quarantine. So I have to do some research on it. I have to make sure I know the exact right name and get a description made for it and everything, but that'll be listed soon as well. So it's neat stuff that isn't available that often. Now this isn't super rare, but people have been asking for them a lot. So we do have some electric blue rams available. Now this one I haven't had in 2-3 years. It's difficult to source. They come from South America. They're not aquarium bred, so you have to work with collectors to get these. And it's the pygmy hatchetfish. I like this because there's a lot of people that like small fish, right? They have nanofish. Maybe they have a tank with celestial pearl danios or chili rasboras or pygmy cories, something like that in it. And those tanks are easy to fill the bottom and the middle sections of those tanks. But that very top layer of the water column, the surface area, it's harder to find fish for up there, right? So you often find tanks where the bottom and middle has a lot of activity, but there's not much going on up top. That's why I brought these in, because they're an amazing surface dwelling fish. They're small. They top out max maybe 1.25 inches is the biggest I've ever seen, if they even got that big. A small hatchetfish. Other fish that are good options for that area are clown killifish, some of the small half-beaks, the wrestling half-beaks and tanga half-beaks, stuff like that. And here is another good option. So that's why I brought these in. When people have tanks full of small nanofish, this is a good one to get a group of for the surface. Now you do need a lid. Hatchetfish are basically the freshwater equivalent to a flying fish from the ocean. That's why they have that big hatchet shape there. It's because that big bone that goes down supports a whole muscle complex that supports them when they glide. So they'll jump and glide just like a flying fish. That's how they escape predators. So keep a lid on the tank or they're probably not a good option. Sparkling gouramis, another great little nanofish. Common enough that I won't go into it. I think most people probably know that fish. Now here's one, the red devil hillstream loach. Super rare, super gorgeous, and these are young, so they aren't showing their color yet. Let me show you adults. I didn't think I had any more, but I was working on this tank the other day, yesterday I think, and I found one more, a surprise red devil. So this is what the adults look like. It's one of the most sought after, most gorgeous hillstream loaches in the world. So I found one more. We had a small group of them, and I thought I was out. Also, I'm trying to get more, but I do have a small group of Corydoras hystatus that are nice and healthy and ready to go. This is like a pygmy Corydoras or a Habrosus cory or something like that, in that it's a small one, but it's one you don't see ever, hardly. I think they call them the diamond dwarf or the diamond pygmy, some of them. That's one of the common names. I'm just going by their scientific name because I don't know how well established the common name is yet. But a very small, difficult to find species, very similar to a pygmy cory. One last dwarf red-tailed eel. This is literally the most requested fish we have here at Dan's Fish, and I wish I could get them more. I only know one breeder that breeds these, and they don't have them very often. They don't produce tons of them, and the availability is sporadic. So whenever I can get them, and I do, and I have one left is all. Okay, another one that people have been asking for a long time. We finally got in another group of Epistogramma agassizii. These are the fire reds, bright and beautiful, yellow and red with white flames on the male's tails. Just a really nice variety of Agassizii. Okay, two others that have been requested a ton. This is the first one, the zebra loach. These are super seasonal. They're not available very often. When they are available, I get them. And then I can't get them again for for another 6 months or whatever, 8 months. So I have them now, and I have another group on the way, and hopefully I'll be able to get more after that, but it's a very seasonal fish. The reason I like the zebra loach is because it has, to me, all the qualities you want in a loach, but it doesn't get so big. Now, I know Corey's in here. I know he's a big fan of clown loaches, and a lot of you guys are, and I am too. I like clown loaches, but the challenge with clown loaches is they get large, and not everybody has a large tank. And a lot of people go to a pet store and they see a cute little 2-inch clown loach that's super pretty, right? Bright colored, and they get it not knowing maybe that it's gonna outgrow their 20-gallon tank. So the reason I like the zebra loach is it tops out at 3-4 inches. It keeps this nice zebra pattern throughout its entire life, and I think it's a good looking fish, and I think it stays a more manageable size than the clown loach. The clown loach is probably the most popular botilla type loach because it's so pretty, but again, I think a lot of people buy them without knowing they're going to get so big. Kind of the same problem that common plecos have. Common plecos are amazing fish. I mean, if they weren't common, if we didn't see them all the time and we saw one today for the first time, that would blow our minds. Like, that's a cool fish. People just don't know it gets so big. Not everyone's equipped to house that. The other one. So I've been trying to get the Epistogramma McMasteri gold red shoulder, but the breeder has been out for long time. So this is close. This is from the same source. This is their gold line. So it does have the gold with the nice red. It does not extend down the shoulder like the gold red shoulder does. And then here's a picture of the actual group. I just grabbed this real quick with my cell phone today, just so you could see the actual fish for sale. So it's what I brought in because I haven't been able to get this one that just has more red down the shoulder. It's a little bit more extended than the gold, but it's pretty similar. They're both very pretty fish. Another announcement is if you're not a member of the newsletter, you're missing out. We have some articles here that we've written about lots of different fish, and there's one that we released about chili rasboras recently. It's not on that yet, but if you were subscribed, you get it in your email. It'll show up in the archive a little later. But just a reminder that we have a newsletter and we keep putting information out there. So you're missing out if you're not joined up on that. Okay, with that, let's see where we're at on the giveaway here. Oh shoot, I forgot to click that. All right, there's 170 people that have entered. We'll give it 5 more minutes. No, we won't. That's plenty of time. I ranted for a long time. So I think we're going to just choose the winner now, and that is the new Mother Nature. Hello, the new Mother Nature. I don't know if I've seen that username before, so if you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, then I'm sorry I didn't recognize you. But here's the rules. You have 2 minutes to chime in and claim your winnings. You can do that by typing anything in chat. So all you have to do is comment in the chat before this timer reaches 2 minutes, and you will have claimed a group of Glowlight Tetras that we will then send to you. There it is. The new Mother Nature is here. All right, the new Mother Nature, welcome. And congratulations and thanks for participating in the little giveaway we did there. 356 folks are here. That's not bad at all. The new Mother Nature, please send us an email to hello@dansfish.com. That's HELLO@dansfish.com. We need your first name, your last name, your mailing address, and once we get that email and get that info, we'll arrange a shipping date and send you those fish. And and there's no charge. You don't pay for shipping. You don't pay nothing. We'll just send them to you. And you'll have some nice Glowlight Tetras. All right. Now we move to the portion of the show where we just hang out in the chat and respond to questions and comments and other things that you guys leave in the chat. Jokes. Before we do that, though, I saw some viewer activity here that I want to respond to. Hammyland Sanctuary has joined the channel. Thank you so much for becoming a member of our YouTube channel, Hammyland. You are now a member of the Fishmonger crew, an honorary Danio or Danionella. Ahmed Magdi gifted a membership. Hey, Ahmed, thank you so much. I see you in here all the time. Thanks for participating, and thanks for giving away a membership. That's super helpful. That's one of the most helpful ways to support the channel, is by giving away memberships, because a portion of those memberships, you know, re-up and subscribe, and then it's a little recurring monthly revenue that helps any business. And then Kaler's Reptiles and Aquatics, Bob Kaler, an OG of this channel, throwing down a super sticker of Pippi Longstocking, cheering us on. Thanks, Bob, for putting a little Pippi pep in our step today. Okay, let's get to some questions and some comments. Hopefully there are some, or it's gonna be a short stream. Cool videos from a cool guy. Hey guys, buy or beware. If you buy a pair of Liberty Mollies, they're very aggressive and will kill. Wait, you had aggressive Liberty Molly. Hang on, chat jumped. I'm not trying to avoid the comment. It jumped too far. So cool videos from a cool guy. Got a Liberty Molly that was very aggressive. So something to be aware of. I think any male Molly can be somewhat aggressive. I don't know if it's just Liberty Mollies. Or have you noticed, cool videos, that it's a lot more aggressive than like a standard Molly? Master Satate, what fish would you recommend to put in a high flow aquarium with hillstream loaches and bamboo shrimp? There's like rainbow shiners would be a great option. They like heavy flow. I want to say like Rhinogobius or Stiphodon gobies as well, but it depends. If you've already got a bunch of hillstream loaches on the bottom, then you don't really need other fish that are on the bottom or that are clinging to the substrate. But if you don't, it depends on the number of hillstream loaches you have, I guess. But I think Stiphodon gobies and Rhinogobius gobies and that kind of thing add a really neat clowning behavior to a tank. And they really enjoy high flow, so I think that would be a great option. There's a few others. Let's see here. Some of the hill trouts would be awesome if the other fish are big enough and the tank is big enough. Zoccos and hill trouts. So let me show you the blue spotted hill trout. This thing is gorgeous. Like there's a whole series of fish that are kind of like this. Different species of hill trouts. There's also the Zoccos, which are really neat. Like really pretty. So all kinds of fish like that. But there's a lot of native shiners that would really enjoy a high flow tank. So rainbow shiners are the first thing that pops to my mind. Denise! AKA not Dennis. Send 5 dance fish gift memberships. Jeez, Denise, thank you for all the continued support. I just so appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Fluffy Cow! Dance fish, hope all is well on the other side of the mountain. Need to make an order and come see you guys. Been too long. Always good to see you, Fluffy Cow. Fluffy Cow is a fellow Wyomingite. He's a neighbor. He's only like a couple hours away, which in Wyoming makes you close neighbors. Because if you've ever driven through Wyoming, you know there's a lot of space between the little towns here. We call Wyoming a small town with really long streets. So cool videos. I'm sorry that Molly was a problem for you. That's no fun when you get a fish in a tank that just terrorizes everybody. Jose, will you ever be bringing in Elisoma gilberti? I would love to. If anyone out here can source those and I can buy them from you, I don't have a source. So I do love buying fish from hobbyist breeders. Or if you're in their natural habitat or can legally collect them and I can buy them from you, yeah. Gilberti is something that I would love to have. I have Everglade, but that's the only one I can get regularly. And I have to bring them in from Europe. The breeder that I know that has those is all the way in Europe. So it's funny when you have to source native fish from Europe. I also have to source rainbow shiners often from out of the country. There's just not a lot of people in the United States producing them, which it's weird. It's like what do you do? If you want them, you got to get them where you can get them. But it's really weird that they're native fish and have to import them. Spinster sister, my blue flame episto is a wicked witch. Whom can I house the sorry male with? Oh, did she? Yeah, she chased him around the tank, especially her coconut hut. Feel bad for him. Yeah, pistos are funny. Like, often they'll get along just great. And it's no problem. And then sometimes a male will just one day be like, nah, I don't like you anymore, and kill the female. Or sometimes that little female will just be like, nah, we're done, and kill the male. Like, I don't want people to think that that's the status quo, but occasionally they will wig out like that. So, yeah, so what can you house the male with? I think like any fairly, any peaceful community fish that's of an appropriate size, really, and not too food aggressive, because epistos, they kind of like to go and kind of graze and pick at stuff. They'll learn to eat and where the food comes, and they'll be on it, but they aren't as quick to the food as some other species. So that's what I would say. But there's a ton of fish that could go with epistos like that, like the Glowlight Tetra. And for 279, I have a half-gallon tank. Woo! With another half-gallon sump. 1 gallon total. Okay, can I keep Neocaridina shrimp in it, and how many? So you can, if you can keep the water parameters stable in that small of a body of water. That's the challenge. So it's not so much about the small space, although that limits how many you can keep. But the real challenge is going to be, how do you keep those parameters stable and steady like shrimp want? Because in a small volume of water, if something changes, the whole thing can change really quickly. You introduce something and there's not a lot of water to buffer what is introduced, right? Or whatever change happens. So, but in half a gallon, yeah, you can put 6 shrimp in there, especially if there's, some Java moss and stuff like that. I wouldn't do it if it's a brand new tank. I would wait until there was biofilm and algae growing and all that, because that's what's going to sustain the shrimp between meals. It's a lot harder to keep shrimp in like a brand new setup. They do a lot better in a tank that's been around for a while, has some life experience. Seville Steve recently bred a pistogramma viejita and loved this dwarf cichlid. Very colorful and active. Yeah, they're awesome. For those that don't know that fish, let's show you what it looks like. Similar to McMaster eye. There you go. Look at that sucker. Woo-wee. I honestly often get confused between Viejita and McMaster, because to me they're so similar, especially when you get to like some of the aquarium bred domestic strains. But it's certainly pretty. Hello, Paul. Welcome. Thanks for joining up and becoming a member. Really appreciate you joining us. Welcome, Danionella. Ahmed, levamisol killed my rabbit snails. The label said it's safe for invertebrates. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And maybe it's a dosage thing. Also, some medications act differently in one kind of water with a certain range of parameters than they would in a different, kind of water with a different range of parameters. So I'm not sure why, what went on there. I have seen levamisole kill snails if it's used at a very high dose. So I wonder what the dose was. Turnbow, what are your thoughts on a Pleco L191 going in my 2,000 gallon indoor pond? When it outgrows my tank, I'm unsure if it would be okay to keep with koi. I wish I could help. Let's look at this thing, L191. I'm not sure if I know this one. Oh, a big boy Pinnock. Okay. Yeah. So the truth is, I don't have a lot of experience with the very large plecos. I have seen people keep like bushy nose and things like that with koi when the koi were smaller. But unfortunately, I wish I could be more helpful, but the truth is I don't know that fish well enough to know. Is it going to go up and like suck the slime off on the koi, or is it going to be chill? I don't know. I'm sorry, Turnbow. I can't really help with that. Have you or any of your staff ever contracted fish tank granuloma? And if so, how was it? No, we're pretty careful about that. No, we have not. I mean, 30 plus years, nope. Okay, NC Pleco Cavers. I just got my first spawn of Wobbin Mooster. Oh, nice! I love the mission at Dan's Fish and would love to partner and supply. How do I reach out? I'm also breeding longfin super reds and... Oh, good, you have tequila Goodeids. Awesome. NC Pleco Cavers, send us an email. hello@dansfish.com. HELLO@dansfish.com. Let us know what you got. We'll go from there. Patrick Bergen. Nope, did it again. Bergren. Where do we find the rules about selling native fish we breed? Oh, each state has its own fish and game or something similar to that. So I would check there. Yeah, each state's different. But I start with like fish and game or whatever the equivalent is in your state. Hunter McLaren loves seeing your flow-through system. Now that you've had the stream water in and out source for a few years, anything you'd do differently on that input-output specifically? No, I think what I would do though is I'd have a larger reservoir that I could heat before I put the water to the reservoir. I think that would be helpful. That's the only real change though I think that I would make. I mean, nothing's perfect ever, right? But it works pretty well. And it tends to keep the fish in fresh water, which is great. Yeah, I love the flow through. Cool videos, would you reach out to us at hello@dansfish.com so we can do the customer service there? Bare Bottom Branton, do you pay for shipping when getting things in from hobbyists? We pay a landed cost. So what we do is, let's say the fish cost is $1.50 and the cost to send it to us is 50 cents, then just charge us $2. So we base things on the landed cost, which is the cost of the fish plus the cost to get it to us landed at our door. This might be a dumb question. No such thing, not on this channel. But I've given some dumb answers, but I don't think there's any dumb questions. Can I keep any celestial pearl danios in 2.5 gallon planted tank because they're very small fish? Yeah, I think you could. Again, it's just a question of keeping the parameters steady. So as long as you can keep the parameters good, then you can put the fish in there, yes. Now, in that size tank, you're going to be a little limited. I think you're going to want one male with a group of females. If you have two males in that size tank, it's so small that one is probably going to become aggressive and dominate the other one. So there are some limitations like that, but you can definitely put them in there, yeah. Cool Video says, no hate, I just want to know what to do. Oh yeah, I'm not offended. Yeah, you're having a problem, you're allowed to talk about it. Jose Rodriguez, oh, all right, that was about Elisoma Gilberta. James S., you listed multis right after I completed setting up a tank for them and was having trouble finding them for sale online, so thanks. Hey, good timing, look at that. The universe aligned. I received 8 from you and they're doing great. I'm so glad to hear that. That's one of the coolest fish ever. If you haven't done it yet, do yourself a favor and at some point in your fish keeping hobby, hang on, I gotta wet my whistle. At some point, set up a tank for Neolamprologus multifasciatus, that little shell dweller. If you don't know what that looks like, it looks like this. It's a small little fish so it comes from Lake Tanganyika, and Lake Tanganyika has a lot of snails in it, and the snails die eventually, and their shells are left behind. And this little fish has decided that's what it's going to use for its home. So it takes shelter in these shells. It claims them as its territory. They lay their eggs in there. They raise their babies in there. It's just a really interesting behavior. You put them in a deep bed of sand or gravel, and they're constantly digging down in there and rearranging the shells and rearranging the sand or the gravel. And is the other cool thing is they raise the young communally. So the parents will have a spawn and raise the babies. And then when the new batch comes up, unlike most fish, especially cichlids, which at that point would kill all of the original babies, try to drive them away, or not do that, and then the original babies would eat the new batch, right? Older siblings of fish love to eat younger siblings, but not in these. The older siblings help raise the next generation. So you get this whole, it's like a big happy family, everybody helping out, everybody raising all the little babies. And it's just so cool. I mean, that just doesn't happen in the fish world. It's so rare that they wouldn't just be seen as a food source by everyone but the parents. So it's really neat. Okay. So cool videos. If the resolution on the customer service wasn't satisfactory, would you reach back out? Renzo Ide, any chance you'll have more samurai gouramis? I wish. Been really difficult to get those. I don't know if it's my favorite gourami. Maybe it is. It's hard to pick a favorite, but it's a very nice one. Yeah, I want to, Renzo, but they're hard to get. So I'm not sure when that will happen. Ginger says, multis are great fun to watch, great parents, great excavators. Yeah, they're like little bulldozers. All right. Okay, let's see here. Looking to see if there's any that I missed in the chat. Turnbow, hey Dan, is there such a thing as too much tannin? Well, maybe. Like if you can tan leather in it, is that too much? I don't know. My new 60-gallon has a beefy piece of local source wood, and even after soaking for 2 months, it's looking like real strong tea after 2 weeks of cycle. Yeah. I mean, it's going to make it difficult to see the fish. I don't know. Depends, I suppose, on which fish you're keeping. There are fish that come from pHs that are super low with tons of tannin. They live in peat swamps. Chili rasboras, licorice gouramis, they literally live in peat swamps. So fish like that, I think, would be just fine. Would other fish, would something that comes from a Rift Lake cichlid be okay in it? I don't know. But there are fish that I don't think it would harm, because where they come from, that's kind of what they come in. Now, are other things happening though? Is the piece of wood like breaking down, and is there a lot of like decomposition happening, especially if it's like a soft piece of wood? Those kinds of things could be a problem, but the tannins themselves, I don't think you're going to get more tannins in there than a peat swamp holds. And there are fish that live in peat swamps, so that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't have any experience with it, but that's just the thoughts off the top of my head. So, take it with a grain of salt. All right. Bare Bottom Branton. You might want to fix that there, Branton. Do you mind explaining landed costs in a bit more detail? Thank you. I'm confused on exactly what that is. So the cost of the fish is the cost of buying the fish. The landed part is the cost of getting it to you. So again, if the fish is $1.50 and the cost to get that fish to me is 50 cents, then I pay $2. Does that make sense? So charge me $2 and we'll go from there. So landed cost is the cost to get an item to where it needs to be. So that includes the cost of the item and all the expenses to get it there. So did that make sense? Hope so. All right. With that, I think we're going to make this a fairly short one tonight. Let's do this. Let's just say thanks to everybody for coming tonight. Oh, I got one more here from Renzo. Could we ever get the workers on a stream and ask them questions about favorite fish, or maybe a video to get to know more people behind the curtain? I don't think so, Renzo. A lot of people don't want to be on camera. And then it also, what if I have to fire someone that's like your favorite? Like, I hope I never have to do that, but what if I did, right? That's a reality in business. Sometimes you have to fire people. So let's say we did that and someone was, a fan favorite, and then one day I had to fire them. That would be ugly. So I don't think so. It gets too complicated. Okay, yes, that makes sense, says Bare Bottom Branton. All right. Again, I'm going to suggest you fix that issue. It's a great username. Had to deal with a flea bombing, turn off the lights and air, and cover the tanks with plastic till we could air out the house, maybe half a day. Ooh, that sounds, Joshua, that sounds like, that sounds scary. Yeah, that sounds super scary. I'm sorry you had to go through. Was everything okay? Ouch. Have I been seeing you a lot on Aquabid? We are on Aquabid. We've been on Aquabid for a long, long time. Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right. Well, I'm super hungry, and there aren't a lot more questions or comments coming in the chat, so I think we're going to shut it down. I want to thank the moderators for being here and moderating every week to make this thing flow smoothly. I really, really I love the feeling of freedom, says Bare Bottom Branton. Anyway, I really appreciate the moderators. Bare Bottom Branton, the commando. I want to thank everyone who's a member of the channel. Thanks for being a member, and thanks to everyone who gifted memberships or threw super chats at us. That's all much appreciated. If you were lively in the chat, thanks for participating. If you weren't, we still love you. Hail the Lurker Nation. If you're watching the replay, thanks for watching. Hello from the past. And if you're listening to the podcast, then thanks for listening. We'll be here 2 weeks from now. Until then, I really hope you have a good one.